I could not be happier to introduce you to this week's guest, Julie Sosa. You may know her as Tattoo Juju on almost all social media. Julie was very special to me in getting an interview when I started this podcast because she was my first real friend in tattooing. We are friends of her brothers, and the first time we ever met was super early in my apprenticeship. Her and her husband came to our apartment to hang out for a night when they were visiting town, and they did this really incredible tattoo, which is really cool to watch, especially being so early for me. Her and her husband both tattoo, and they are just so generous in sharing their background and tips and the things they've learned throughout their career. Jules has been tattooing since 2020, and it's just been really inspiring to watch the way that she's grown throughout her time in Texas, from her apprenticeship to now, and the move that her and her husband took to Portland, Oregon recently, where they're now tattooing at Shogunate. I won't make y'all wait any longer. Here is my conversation with Julie Sosa. Cheers! I am so excited to be talking to a friend of mine, an artist that I looked up to when I started my tattoo journey, who has traveled truly across the country recently, Julie Sosa.
Hello.
Yeah. How long have you been tattooing? What year did you start tattooing?
I started tattooing on skin in June of 2020.
Awesome. Do you have a style that you're leaning? Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Breaking Skin podcast. It's me, your host, Kale Pearson, otherwise known as Kale Tattoos on social media and in the studio. Right now?
Yeah, actually, it's one of the main goals that I'm working on right now is honing in on a specific style that I'll focus on for a while, because I've been pretty diverse the past 4 years, just kind of taking whatever comes my way, because I truly do enjoy doing a lot of different styles. But I think it's time. I think I know more so what I enjoy, and I'm able to do that. I don't have to just take in walk-ins anymore, solely. I don't know what you would call it. It's not neo-trad, and it's also not truly realism. So it's like neo-realism, I guess, because I somewhere in the middle of that. I love bold lines of traditional work. That's what I have, but I love painting, and I love the painterly style, kind of like Art Nouveau or like stained glass. I love that you could see it from a distance, but the closer you get, the more details and more information you're getting at the same time. And it also, over time is going to heal good. It's not just going to look like a big blob in 10 years.
True. That part is important. What shop are you at now?
I'm at Shogunate Tattoo in Portland. It's owned by Bob Jones. He was on Ink Masters, and Angel Rose also works there. They are super cool. And then all the artists there are super cool. It's on Mississippi Street. It's like a really great street to be working on. There's a lot of cool other art shops and restaurants and bars on that street. We love it there so far. It's been almost 2 months that we've been there now.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell me more, I guess, from the beginning about your first year in tattooing, what that looked like, what triggered you to start your apprenticeship journey, all of that.
Yeah. So, 2020, was a great year. Not really. But it actually ended up working out somewhat in my favor, because I knew I wanted to tattoo. From a young age, I was around people that were tattooing out of the house, not, professionally, but everyone around had tattoos the first part of my childhood. So it was something that I always thought was really cool. But in some of the homes I grew up in after that period, it was super taboo. So I've always been pretty rebellious. So it made me want to do it even more. And so, but I got a full ride to go to college. And so I basically got paid to go to college. So I did graphic design, which is the closest thing to tattooing because there was no like tattoo school. Here in Portland, you have to go to tattoo school to tattoo. It's crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing. But anyways, so when COVID hit in the spring of 2020 and quarantine hit and everything went online, that was my last semester of college. So I just started my apprenticeship then, since I didn't have to go to class anymore. And it was at a shop in Lubbock, Texas that was brand new. And it's probably not the way apprenticeships go in other places, because the tattoo culture in Lubbock, especially at that time, was super unconventional, untraditional. So it was basically just like me learning by myself. I had a space, my own space, which was like really great, but it was a lot of me just being my own teacher. And I would say I've honestly learned the most from getting tattooed by other people and asking specific questions while they're tattooing me, and from artists on Instagram. But even like before 2020, I had bought all the books about tattooing at that time that I could find. I had tried to find all the videos. There was hardly anything, like any resources online. Like, it's not like how it is now. There's so much information online that you can like learn to tattoo with, in like seminars and like courses. None of that existed before 2020. Like, I looked, but yeah, I started on skin June 2020, and then tattooed heavily like for that month. And then like a month later, I went and lived in a van. So I wasn't really tattooing until 2021 after that. And then pretty much have tattooed
Ever since.
almost every day ever
Absolutely. I
since
know that
then.
your apprenticeship journey, you had a couple apprenticeships, right? Like under a couple different people.
No, I just, long story short, it was my mentor became my boyfriend in January 2020 or February 2020. And then things went bad really fast. He got fired in June, and then I started tattooing on skin after he got fired, because he wouldn't allow me to basically do anything
As an
like for
apprentice?
myself. I was basically just doing all his work for him, designing all his designs, stenciling all his stencils, setting up all his stations, messaging all his clients. So I didn't really leave a lot of time for my career path.
Yeah, that's fair. I know that in my apprenticeship, I also felt like I was showing up and having to like choose what I was learning. Like there was not a lot of structure, especially coming from also a graphic design background from college. You expect a little bit of like, and today we're going to be learning this, and here's kind of a curriculum.
Yeah, I was pretty much like making my own assignments, I guess. And after that very short, experience with that, I was like not trying to find another mentor, because there wasn't any female mentors that I knew of at that time. I was the only girl in my shop besides the owners.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and they didn't do it
that
though.
also can feel like, what am I supposed to do when the person you're reporting to, the owner, isn't teaching or tattooing?
Yeah. But at that time, I was just happy to be around the tattooing and like to have an opportunity to have clients. Like, I was just happy to be there. Realize, I didn't realize how unstructured it was, like the degree it was, until I got out of Lubbock and I started doing expos, and I started tattooing like in Dallas, and I started going to California more. And I was like, oh, wait, this is how it's supposed to
Apprenticeships are
be.
supposed to
Oh,
be a little different.
yeah, like they sign contracts and all this
Yeah, and I
stuff,
kind of
and
wonder if
like
it's
they
like a
have.
Texas, if that happens a lot in Texas because it is like not as regulated as a Portland or even a Kansas, that there's not an
Yeah,
outline.
it's super regulated here, and it's super clear what the rules are. It's no ambiguity. But in Dallas, it was a lot more structure at the shops there than it was in Lubbock. I think it matters how long tattooing has been there, because I was taking a look at some of the history not that long ago, and tattooing wasn't even like legal for that long. I think it's only been a couple decades.
In Texas?
If that, in West
Wow.
Texas, a lot of laws like that, like they were dry counties, like not that long ago either. And like, there's very strict laws. So it was something that like wasn't even allowed. So the only people doing it were the ones like technically breaking the law. So it makes sense why it's not that structured.
Yeah, that makes sense. That everyone's just kind of trying to figure it out as they go. When it came to finding your
Yeah.
apprenticeship, did you have any hurdles? Were you someone that looked for, sometimes you hear about people looking for years before they find an apprenticeship?
I had always told myself I was going to wait until I graduated. So I graduated college May 2020, but it like happened by accident. So like I was going into the shop to get this tattoo with my snake, and they just like offered me. They're like, "Oh, you want an apprentice here? Like we just opened," and I was like, "That
Okay.
was easy. Okay, sure."
Yeah.
And
Sometimes you
like,
hear, I feel like people talk about they spent years looking for an apprenticeship and they did all this portfolio work. And I know that when I got mine, it was almost the same thing. Like I was getting a tattoo at the time and asked if he would be willing to take an apprentice. And he was basically like, "Can you draw?" And never even looked at a piece of artwork. So I was just like, "Sure, yeah." And he was like, when can you start?"
yeah. Well, you know what though? I wish I would have looked at my options more
Sure.
though, because I think that it would have helped me so much more because it's taken me so long to learn the structure and discipline that I needed in tattooing. And like, if I would have found a mentor that would have guided me better and cared more about the art and the experience of the job than the money and the business, like, I would have been a lot happier a lot
Yeah.
sooner. And I probably would be like already in my niche and maybe like jumping into another niche, you know, but it has taken me a long time to like focus on what's important because I didn't know what was important because everybody is everywhere and like I don't know, I didn't know what was important and it's taken me a lot of trial and error to figure that
Yeah.
out.
A lot of like self discovery in this journey.
Yeah.
So from your perspective,
Yeah.
what do you think it's been like to be a woman who's doing great and traveling and going to expos and discovering her niche in such a Wild West, male dominated industry?
Yeah. Um I would say like my relationship with clients has been an awesome thing because they're so desperate for someone that they can feel comfortable around. And that goes for like male and female, like of all people, because I used to have over there, like in Texas, I would have like male clients that wanted their wives to get tattooed by me because they knew that nothing weird was going to happen, you know? And it was something like that was what they're looking for before even looking at the portfolio. But I got a lot of respect from the clients being in a male dominated industry, but it sucked like a lot at expos sometimes and like more events where it's mainly tattoo artists gathering because especially when I was with my ex or just like alone, like before I was with Trey, because they would just assume I wasn't even a tattoo artist. They would think I'm just like,
Maybe
I don't
throw a
know.
friend, a
I don't know why they would
client.
just, yeah, or like not take me seriously, or just say like I only did tiny tattoos, or just say like I wasn't good enough just because I was a girl. And I'm like, but then once they saw my work, you know, they had a little bit more respect for me. But it was like, why does it take that? Like, you automatically will respect another male artist without seeing their work. But because I'm a female, you're just automatically assuming that probably not that good.
Yeah. Have you noticed any environment where it hasn't been like that, whether it be like locationally or like specific shop environments that you felt more respected?
I don't feel like that at all now here at Chokin in Portland. Like, I don't feel any weird energy from anybody in the shop. Everybody is super respectful, encouraging, and inspiring, and just interact like normal people. But uh, a lot of the times when I worked in Texas before we just kind of like got our own little private suite, I would just walk in, talk to my client, do my tattoo, and like not talk to any of the other artists because there was so much weirdness. I was just very avoidant, and it made it kind of hostile because I would get nervous if I was tattooing and one of the other artists would walk up and I had a client and I'm just thinking like, oh no, like I hope this person doesn't say something
Definitely.
disrespectful.
I think that does happen. And it puts pressure on your work and on your art as a whole, because now your creativity your sense of well-being feels a little suffocated. Your creativity is being probably boxed a little bit because you're not in an environment that you're like feeling valued.
Yeah, and it's like the last thing you should think about because I really feel like you cannot make like true art unless you feel safe. Like that's like the whole thing about art. It's like it means like you're not just surviving, like you are safe enough to create something that doesn't have to do with survival, you know?
Yeah. And I would imagine, do you think it's because you're in a small town in Texas and now you're in somewhere that's so welcoming like Portland?
Yeah, I think that probably has a lot to do with it. But I also think like maybe there are shops here that probably, you know, aren't the best. Like, they're probably everywhere because we did, you know, look at other shops before we found Shokunin, and there were a few that we walked in and turned right around before we even talked to people because we could already tell what kind of vibe it was. And that's me and my husband. Like that wasn't just me. And so I think Bob and Angel and Nikki and Anthony and Fred and everyone there at Shokunin they've been very intentional in what kind of environment they create.
I think that's kind of the magic of like a good tattoo environment, is being intentional and thoughtful and a little bit loving of the people around you so that everyone feels secure and safe and their art is going to be valued, and you don't have to be worried that when you're tattooing someone who's different, somebody's not going to come over and say some off-color comment that takes you from it.
From tattooing crazy things, and I'm just like, why would you do that?
I've certainly had conversations randomly, whether it be like at an event or with someone who's been tattooing for 40 years or whatever, where they'll say something usually homophobic, honestly, or sexist, and then you're like, why did you say that right now?
Like, for real, in front of a client too, and that's like,
you don't want to feel that like you have to apologize at the end.
Yeah, no. And I didn't think I would ever work in like an open shop environment like that again because of that reason, and because I got really comfortable in just having my own room, having control over my space. But no, where we are right now is like amazing. It's probably even better than having a private space, honestly. I didn't think I would ever say that. And it's all
that's great. I mean, that says something.
Yeah.
It can foster creativity when you're all in like the same room like that. I do like that about like being in the same open space instead of like a private room studio, because you can see what other people are doing and like have banter.
Yes, the banter, you know, you just be playing dad rock, and there's a very like high standard in the shop because like everyone's work is amazing, and I think that helps me too. I mean, I always kind of hold myself at a high standard, but
it pushes you,
you know, someone's so great.
It pushes you when you see really great work. From what I know about your career, you have gone through a lot of change. You went from private studio to not, to van, to Dallas, back to Lubbock, to Portland, all over. How do you think that's impacted you, your work, where you are going, what you want to do?
Yeah, it's amazing that I can travel and tattoo. I love that about this job, and you know, traveling so much has allowed me to meet a lot of different kinds of people and see how a lot of different people approach tattooing. But now that I kind of found what works for me as a tattooer and what I like in life, I am just kind of pushing for that stability, and I feel bad how, like, I had a lot of guilt about moving, um, because of my clients, like, were so awesome in Texas. No matter where I lived in Texas, they followed me. And so I really didn't have to like work on building my clientele until I moved out here. But even here, I just tattooed this past week a client from Texas. And the fact that they come all the way here, I'm like, it's amazing. I want everyone to move here because it's an amazing place, like attracts like. But I think staying in one place, like if you can, is probably more ideal for tattooing because you just develop a stronger clientele and you're able to focus more on your art and your portfolio because you have that trust with the people around instead of always having to find strangers and not convincing them, but showing them your work and going through all the steps. You kind of skip the top steps once you already have a foundation
Yeah.
where you live.
Did you notice a big difference, like in
But
the tattooing, Lubbock versus Dallas, or Dallas versus Portland, or?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. So like Lubbock, black and gray. If you're a black and gray artist, people are gonna eat it up. That's all they want. It was very hard as a color artist. It was hard and not hard at the same time. It was hard because most people didn't really want color, but it wasn't hard because the people that did definitely wanted to tattoo with me because not a lot of people did the color work. So out here, almost everyone has color and it's amazing and it's super, I would say a lot more competitive here because there's a lot more artists. I mean, they have the tattoo school. Everyone's going to tattoo school. So many tattoo artists here. It is surprisingly heavily a lot traditional work. I wasn't expecting that, which is cool. And then in Dallas, it was a lot of black and gray too, I would say. Um, but a lot of little tats too. A lot of people like patchwork,
Yeah.
which is cool.
What took y'all out to Portland?
Yeah. So my little brother, Jack, moved here like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I came and visited him in February and I was like, dude, this place is great. It's so beautiful. The trees, just happy to be alive here. And then I brought Trey out here in August so he could see it too. And that's when we just walked into Shokunin and we got the job. And then we're like, well, we really have to move here. But I've been wanting to move to the West Coast like for a long time. Ever since I graduated high school, my older brother that lives in LA, he's been trying to get me to move out here. And I just never thought I could like afford it on my own, but Portland is a lot more affordable than LA and it helps with my partner helping me.
The double
So I'm not
income
all
is
alone.
usually helpful in those scenarios.
Yeah, and I think I did need to, it took a little bit of time to establish myself as an artist and build that portfolio. So now I do feel like I could go anywhere and be like, here's the tattoos I've done. I could probably do whatever you want.
Truly, yeah, you can pretty much do it all. And I feel like between you and Trey, you guys have like the sphere of tattooing covered.
Yeah, man, I love being with him. He's very inspiring too because he was down to move with me to Dallas before he even had a portfolio, and every shop that we try to get into would not want to hire him, even like not as an artist. They would say they wanted to hire me just because he didn't have that portfolio. But I knew he could do it, he just didn't have the opportunity to show himself now or show himself like, what he could do. But now I bet all those shops are regretting hiring him because look at his work now, he just needed an opportunity
to make it happen. Definitely. Do you think, what has it been like dating someone, being married to someone in the industry and having kind of different styles, working together, all that?
Yeah. It's great, honestly. I don't think I would be able to handle a relationship that like didn't do the same thing I did because it takes such long hours and it's just hard to explain that to a partner that doesn't do it because it makes it seem like it's more important than them, but it's not. Relationships are freaking hard too. I guess it would be really hard unless the person really understands what's going on. And with Trey, a lot of the times we are just like, we're not the same person, but we're just like a balance, you know, and when one is up, one is down. And that can be really good. But if we both kind of get like starting have bad habits, like, you know, like not maybe drawing as much as we should, like it can rub off on both of us. So it's a big accountability partnership. So we have to both be on our A game. Otherwise, like if one of us starts getting lazy, we both kind of start getting lazy. So we both have to be like, all right, what do we need to do to be motivated? Like whatever it is, let's do it together. And then let's like if I pick up my iPad and I start drawing, he starts thinking, maybe I should start drawing. And then if I post, he'll be like, been a while since I posted. Maybe I should post something.
That is helpful. That is accountability.
Yeah. And I love that because like when you're just on your own sometimes, especially with ADHD, it's really easy to forget and it just doesn't even cross your mind. You know, you're just doing whatever you're doing at that moment. So it's great to have someone that should be doing the same things you're doing because it's like a visual reminder.
Yeah, you guys can just do it together. Do you think it helps that you guys have such complementary styles or such different styles?
Interesting question. I would say, yeah, it's actually really great because I'm constantly researching color realism and paintings and tattoos of that style. And I'm looking at what other artists are doing. And then he's constantly researching black and gray realism and artists of that style. And so whenever we're talking about things that we've learned and not things we're finding like on social media and stuff, we share it with each other. So it's like we're doing double the research, but only the work of one. And that's really inspiring. But also we watch each other tattoo a lot. And I think it's almost like a time saver because he can try things and tell me how it went, or I can watch him do it. And then instead of like having to try everything on my own, he's a very big visual learner. And I'm more like, I like to read and I need to say words or something. I'm a visual learner too, but like in a different way, I guess. So it's interesting to see how he picks up things
and how different it is from yours.
Well, like, yes, we'll joke around sometimes and be like, don't gatekeep from me. Tell me what you did.
Do you guys ever get competitive?
Not against each other. Yeah. It wouldn't really make sense to. Because I've made jokes. Like, once he started doing portraits and stuff, I made jokes. I was like, bro, keep this up and I could just stay at home and paint all day.
Yeah, really.
But it's just like our daughter wants to be a tattoo artist when she grows up. And so I think about like, of course, she looks up to Trey. Of course, like they're like so similar. But I also know how much she looks up to me, like as a girl. And I want her to know that I have the same job daddy does. We do the same thing, you know? Your dad asked me for advice. I asked him for advice. It doesn't make a difference that he's a boy and I'm a girl.
Is there like a piece of advice or something that you try to instill in her now to kind of like push her in the right direction in the future?
Yeah, I just tell her she can do anything. I don't want her to limit anything at all. If she wants to be a doctor and a tattoo artist, do that. I tell her that one of the artists that I got a lot of my tattoos from, he was a full-time nurse. And he also tattooed. You know, I don't want her to limit what she can do in her head because I feel like as we grow up, it's gonna make me cry. As we grow up, it's like we start doubting ourselves so much. And when you're a kid, you're like, I could be an astronaut. But then, like, when reality hits, you're like, fuck, I can't be an astronaut. What can I be? I can't be anything. And you forget that in so many years of my life, like, I was told you'll never make money as an artist. And then I tried to get into tattooing in like 2017 and I freaking broke my right wrist skateboarding. And the doctor said, you'll never be a tattoo artist. And so many people told me you'll never be an artist, period. And I was like, dude, what is it gonna take? I'm down to do anything. Like, I'd be happy just to be any sort of artist at this point. So the fact that, you know, I'm here and I'm full-time tattoo artist, that's like, it means
And
everything to
you are
me.
what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Yeah, I am, and that's why this whole time I've been happy to tattoo anything. I didn't know like it's important to find a
I
style.
think it's okay to be
I'm just
well
happy.
rounded.
It is okay, but I want to focus. You can't be great at everything. Maybe eventually when you're old, but one thing at a time sometimes is best for some people. Like
Tackling
me.
things a little bit at a time. Can't Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah,
Can't do it all at once.
exactly. Just one thing at a time. There's no rush. You have
Definitely.
to
I think
realize.
that y'all's kid is very lucky to have those words put in there. Those are like the words you'd want to hear for yourself, you know?
We're the lucky ones. She's like super inspiring and it's super healing for me to have her in my life and to like see little me and her, you know.
Yeah. I remember when
I literally have a picture.
oh my god. This is so sweet. I remember when you guys put together a little like tattoo area for her and she had the pink tool chest and she was like hanging and selling her own paintings. I was like, that's so
Yes,
perfect.
she was so. My childhood friend gave her her first $20, first money she ever made with her art, and like I know she'll remember that forever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just her fact that you can make money doing art.
Yeah, I think that is something a lot of tattoo artists in general hear as kids is you will never make money in art. And I think that's what sends a lot of us into graphic design before we somehow get here.
And it's not even about the money because she's honestly the least materialistic kid I've ever met. And it's like, I think that's probably what draws her to tattooing is because you're not selling a product. At the end of the day, you're selling a service, you're selling an experience. It's not just like, here, buy my painting, you know? It's like, here, have an experience with me and let me make this meaningful for you and something that you can walk around with for the rest of your life.
It's true. It's true. We took a seminar from Lefty out of Waco, and one of the things that he said was that tattoos almost can be like timestamps for people. Like you will always remember when you got this tattoo, what you were doing in your life, who was with you,
Yeah,
what you were going through, or like what your wins were. It's just like a little timestamp. And hopefully you remember having a great artist experience and not a terrible one.
Yes, no, exactly. When you're all old and wrinkly, you'll still remember, like, I love this tattoo. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a moment in your career that you've been like, I made it? Like, this is for me. I am a freaking tattoo artist.
I would say it was probably whenever we moved to Dallas and I was able to take my portfolio and walk into any shop and be like, here's my work. Can I work here? And they all said yes. And I was like, bruh, this is awesome.
You expect it. I feel like I go in being like, I'm going to hear some no's today.
Yeah, I just kind of felt confident that, like, to just be like, you know, validated by all these owners that have been tattooing for so long. That was kind of the point where I was like I'm doing something right. Because I had been kind of like on my own the whole time, you know. I never really had anyone tell me, you know, that I respected that, like, you're doing a good job.
Definitely. Yeah. So whenever that day that you went through and did all your portfolio stuff, you're like in the car on the way home and you're like, damn, I'm a freaking I'm a tattoo artist.
Yeah, man, I was feeling so good and I felt so bad because Trey had just got a no because he was still like fresh and stuff. And I was like, they feel good right now.
You're like, I'm really happy for me and really sad for you.
Yeah, he was so sweet. He was like, babe, like, if you want to work at that tattoo shop, you can work at that tattoo shop. And I was like, no, we're a team. Like, you know, we're going to be in it together. And I'm glad because, like, I feel like the art side is my strong side, but sometimes the social interaction, not even with the clients, like with the other people in the shop, I just kind of like, I don't know how to talk to you, but Trey is great. at talking to people, like anybody. So he helps me a lot with that.
That is helpful. I mean, you guys ended up finding a shop, I'm assuming, because you guys continued to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm glad because like we have each other's backs,
Mhm.
you know. We have both in the past like been really bad, like people pleasers and not really know how to stand up for ourselves. So, like standing up for each other has helped us, stand up for ourselves. Like, oh, this is what it looks like. Like, it's not disrespectful to like draw this boundary. Like, this is actually a necessary thing. It's okay to say no. If this person doesn't respect that I'm my own boss in the sense of I'm my own tattoo artist and that like there's some tattoos I want to say no to, then my partner's going to have my back. And if we need to go, we're going to go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's a thing to do when you're on your own. You don't know where else to go, but he believes just as much as I do that like the art is the most important part.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys have, I'm sure you hear it all the time of like the tattoo, like power couple. I'm sure people like love you guys for that.
Do
It
it.
sounds like you guys have really experienced success in Portland. Because I know that some people move places and never get clientele.
Yeah. Honestly, like our shop has been such a security during the moving process. Like they've been so nice, so chill. They are like, no rush on getting set up here or whatever. Like, we're not going to give the job to anybody else. Like, we've been looking for just someone just like y'all. Y'all are a great fit. And that gave me a lot of like on my anxiety because it wasn't like a rush process thing. And Shokinen literally means the pursuit of perfection and continuous improvement in one's craft. It's someone dedicated to preserving their craft and committed to a lifelong journey towards mastery. So they're not worried about the money, you know what I mean? Like they are wanting everyone in their shop to just be making good work and treating their clients right. And so it's really nice that they're on the same page as us
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys found a really good fit.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first time, honestly, that the people that own the shop were kind of like pushing that on us just as much as we pushed on it
Yeah.
ourselves.
Do you feel like it's being in this new environment and feeling so like happy to be alive and comfortable in Portland is making your work kind of blossom?
Yes, definitely. I think I'm able to just kind of focus more. There's not so much drama that's taking my time and energy away. I'm not having to take care of things so much outside of myself or people. That was one of the big reasons we came out here too, is just to focus on us, focus on our career, focus on our family.
Do you think that you've had client experiences or any clients on the top of your head that really have stuck with you or really have like affirmed your career?
Man, like this is really the first time I'm having to work on building my clientele like hard since I started, because once I tattooed someone, like they always came back, and it always like surprised me at first because I was like, dang, like back again,
Welcome back.
But welcome back. Like I would look back like right before I left and I was tattooing all these people, finishing all these projects. I didn't want to leave Texas with anything unfinished. And I would look at my square and like see like when their first appointment was, and I would say 2020, 2021. Like these people have really been coming to me for all these years. And they told me like, we'll come see you in Portland. We don't want anyone else to touch our skin. And so I felt like guilty that they have to come all the way out here. But at the same time, I'm like, y'all should definitely come out here. Y'all would love it. It's a great place to visit, great place to be. But specifically, any clients that really stood out are actually some of the clients that are people that don't really have a lot of tattoos. Like I have a few clients that just wanted one tattoo. And they're the kind of people that said they would never get a tattoo, but it things super meaningful, like a spouse passing away, and they just wanted to get something from his handwriting. And like those clients were very, very picky on who they chose.
Definitely.
You know, and that's something I still want to keep like available for people to get like a little tattoo like that, even though maybe it's not the style I'm focusing on right now. I don't mind doing it because it has so much meaning in it. And I know that like I'm going to take care of them. I'm not going to, you know, it's going to be a safe
It's
space for
custom,
them.
it's special. It's like something that you would want to put energy into to create something unique for someone.
Yeah. And sometimes it's so personal that like I'm not going to be posting it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's literally just for them. And those kind of stand out. And it's like, it's so hard translating everything that happens in my tattoo space online because some of it is not meant to be shared with everybody.
That's true. You know, I haven't heard a lot of people say that. I feel like a lot of people are so excited to put anything they can online. So to like say that it's part of your practice is private and it's meant to be private and you want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I think is important. And that's what makes a client relationship with their tattooer special.
Yeah. And it's like, I try to show just enough online that people know they could feel comfortable with me. But then once they see me in person, I feel like they really, you know, get to see how I am, get to see how me and Trey are. And even with Trey and I's relationship, I used to post so much, but it's kind of the same thing as with the clients. It's like, you know, a lot of it, I just want it to be for us. I'm not going to post every aspect of our lives to everybody anymore. It's going to be like just a little bit.
Yeah. And then whenever you come
Just
in person,
enough,
you get the full thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then when we're at home, it's just like, this is our time.
Definitely.
You know? It's really, yeah.
Domini's like that too. Whenever I used to like post some stuff about like our relationship, she'd be like, I really don't think that people need to know what we're up to. Like,
yeah, I used to post way too much, but it just, I think it kind of stemmed from, well, it's better than not posting anything, so I must just post everything because I don't know what I need to post, so I'm just gonna post every.
Do you think it helps when
of.
you were did you notice more response when you were posting more, or more response now when it's less?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the algorithm change because it used to be very photo based and I loved it. And now it's video based, so it's weird. But I will say, early on, my ex mentor, he made a comment and he was like, "Oh, the only reason people want to get tattooed by you is because you're a girl and you post pictures of yourself all the time, and it's just because like they think you're pretty and stuff." Because he was getting all mad that I was getting clients and he wasn't or whatever. Anyways, and so I deleted every photo of myself from my profile.
Which doesn't feel good because like you should be able to put whatever you want to put.
I didn't post myself for a long time. Like I literally made a logo and it was just like a rose, and that was my profile picture. And I was still getting booked out, and it was kind of like to prove to myself that that wasn't true. But I think people like to see what the artist's vibe is and what they look like and stuff, especially when you're walking into a big shop. Because then you walk in and you're like, I don't know what my artist even looks like. I don't even know who they are. I'm completely lost. I forgot their name because social anxiety.
Yeah, like so many people in here.
Yes, and I just try to be how I would like it when I'm the client, you know? And I try to tell that to Trey a lot because he never, before he became a tattoo artist, never went into like a professional shop. He never got like a professional tattoo. You know, it was always just like a friend or something. And so whenever we're creating the environment we want to create, I just imagine you are the client. You know, imagine you're the one walking into this place and you never met you.
Yeah, you're feeling stressed.
You know, what you like to have beforehand to make you more prepared and more comfortable. because when you have anxiety and you're getting a tattoo, your heart is racing, you start bleeding a lot. And that is not a good combination. You need to be as calm and zen as possible. So that's what I try to do. I try to make everything chill. And I try to be chill because if I'm anxious, then they're going to be anxious because I'm anxious.
Definitely.
It's so much that goes into it. The first shop I started at, when I was an apprentice, I had to sweep cigarette ashes from people smoking in the shop.
Well,
Like,
in
what
2020, that's crazy.
that's what I was working with, you know?
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
I've heard worse stories, but that just speaks to the cleanliness.
Oh, definitely. Have there been any interactions in this new studio or with colleagues and in general that have like influenced the way you're tattooing right now or the way you interact with your clients?
Well, I would say the fact that they make me feel so comfortable helps a lot with how I'm interacting with the clients, because that was something I was most nervous about. I was very nervous about working in an open shop environment again, and they immediately made me feel comfortable. Because when I was coming in, I was like, y'all are celebrities.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. Like, half the artists there have fan pages. Like, it's crazy.
And they're just normal people, usually. Just very normal people.
They're so nice. Like, Angel gave us an air mattress to sleep on. We don't have a bed. And then invited us and some of the other people in the shop to have Thanksgiving with her at her house. And it's like,
that's so
immediately,
nice.
you know, it made us feel so welcomed and so safe, and just like treating us like family, truly, like,
Yeah.
you know, that helps every other interaction because that is the foundation.
For sure. And I'm sure now, like, if you guys had new people coming in, you guys would be the same. I mean, you and Troy really are great hosts in general because we've stayed at your house before. And you took great care of us. So I'm sure you would be willing to give that same energy back to anybody else.
For sure. It's really nice when it's reciprocated too. And you're just the same too.
Well, anytime you guys want to come to Austin, you're always welcome.
No, we always talk about the time that we stayed at y'all's place that first time, because it was very a huge turning point for Trey. That was when he realized he wanted to do realism.
I can't believe y'all did that little tattoo in our apartment, because honestly, it was so crazy. It was so good.
It still looks constantly. That is like the one
it looks so good. Like, I will go back and be like, this was tattooed in our apartment. It still does. The contrast is great.
And it's just like, we tell that story all the time. We're like, yeah, we were at our friend's place in Austin, and you know,
it was
tattooed
so fun.
this.
Also, that apartment was so small. Was...
like, dude, you've grown so much since then, because I feel like you were kind of like not in a great situation tattoo wise, and I was thinking this. I don't know if I said it out loud, but I was like, dude, she just gotta do her own thing.
Well, you were right. It really ended up. I mean, he went on. I don't even think he tattoos anymore. The guy that taught me. Did you guys take walk-ins at the shop that you're at now?
We do. Most people are appointment based, but like, especially on the weekends, like I like to get there a little bit earlier just to see who walks in, because it is a great place for walk-ins.
That's awesome.
The
best part of you guys, and then you get to pick up clients from a walk-in shop. It's so helpful when you're traveling. I feel like some of my craziest client stories come from walk-ins, and then I never see them again. And because it'll be like a random like street walk-in, and it's like some really absurd interaction, and then who knows what happened to them.
Yes, we did a Friday the 13th flash event this past month or whatever, and it was the smoothest event I've ever been a part of. Like, the way that the shop did everything was so not stressful and not chaotic. It was amazing, and they're just like giving away so much free stuff, and just it was beautiful. Awesome. And I'm at Lubbock,
which this year, I don't know if you noticed, I've never seen so many shops be like, we don't have anybody here, we don't have a line, like we can get you in right now on their Friday the 13th. Like, some shops were like kind of empty.
Yeah, no, I've seen even like some artists I've been following for a long time that have a huge following posting a lot that they have openings, like they're available today. And I'm like, dang, they're available today?
Or all week. Like they have availability all month.
Their work is amazing. I'm like, what's
happening?
What's
it
the
makes you like, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's the economy or the personality or the art or the style or location. I don't know. It was just, I noticed in Austin, like 4 big shops being like, we have no wait for Friday the 13th. And I thought that was really crazy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's inspiring you right now or anyone that you're looking at?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. So I have like a list of female artists online that are inspiring me. But I'll just say first, everyone in my shop is like huge inspiration, including Trey, just to like physically be around them. But art style wise, I take a lot of inspiration from some of the AI art that's coming out because I'm really into, like old Renaissance painting and stained glass art and like Art Nouveau posters. And I follow these AI art accounts that take like old art with more contemporary style art, like combining it. And I'm like, I like what's going on there a lot. It's kind of reminding me of like traditional tattoos with modern realistic tattoos and combining that. Because the problem I have with like super just realistic tattoos by themselves, like especially with color, is like I don't see a lot of the healed work of those in like 10 years. Like there's not a lot of evidence of what that's going to look like, realistically. So I love the combination of the old and the new to kind of find that medium ground. I don't know if you follow Christina Taylor. Okay. She is really cool. I've been following her for a long time. She's learned English and she is in America now. And she's been freaking killing it. I think she tattooed her own neck at one point. And she does color and she's super good.
Is it Christina? Like
another artist I followed before I even tattooed. Like he's probably the artist I followed for the longest time is Chris Rogini. And he's in Australia. And like I have always been obsessed with his work. He literally, what I just said, he combines a few different styles, honestly, if you look at all of his work. But I think, I just think his work is
really cool.
And for someone that loves so many different art styles, he is just like evident that you can like it all, He's very, very successful. I don't know if you use like black work gloves, but like the rose on there is his rose. Like he did that.
Wow, that's so cool.
And then this is actually a couple that tattoos as well. Her name is Pyro Jenko. It's PIROJENKO _ tattoo. And her partner tattoos too. And they do collab work, and it's so cool because like they'll show like the painting, like the physical painting and the physical drawing that they did, and then they put it together, like literally rip it in half and put it together and then make it a tattoo. And I think that is so cool.
That is cool. Well, they do their collabs together, him and her.
Yes. And like he does more of the black and gray like Trey does. Wow. And then she does more of the color. It's so cool.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, right? I would say those are like my really top 3, but I want to send you this whole list because honestly, I'm gonna send it.
Yeah, I would totally take it. Well, thanks for hanging out with me and chatting. I feel like I could keep talking to you for a long time.
Yeah, no, this was awesome, and I can't wait to like listen to like your other episodes, like the other people you talked to too.
I'm excited for you to listen, and I'm grateful that you're able or willing to talk with me.
Yeah, I hope you got some good information. I've never done this before,
and it was great. I'm glad to learn more about your journey. So thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I'll talk to you later. Today's episode was completely edited, recorded, and produced by Kale Pearson. The music was mixed and edited by Dominique Gopal. You can find us on social media at Breaking Skin Pod. For more information, check out our website, breakingskinpod.com. You can find my social media at kale.tattoos. That's spelled Kail. To check out more of my work, visit kaletattoos.com. For more information on today's guest, you can find their social media in the show notes. Please come hang out every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Central Time for another episode of the Breaking Skin Pod. Thank you all for listening and hanging out. We really appreciate the support. Can't wait to see you next week. Cheers.